The dining room smelled of warm spices and roasted meat, the kind of smell that once meant comfort to her. Now it only reminded her of effort, of meals prepared, invitations accepted, and silences endured for the sake of peace. The young woman sat at the long table with her children beside her, her posture straight, her expression calm. She had learned long ago that calm was mistaken for weakness in this family, but she wore it anyway, like armor no one recognized. Her brother sat across from her, loud and relaxed, holding court as he always did. He laughed easily, spoke boldly, and soaked up admiration like it belonged to him by birth. Everyone listened when he talked. Everyone always had. She focused on cutting her daughter's food into smaller pieces, on making sure her son finished his vegetables, on the ordinary tasks that grounded her. Then it happened. Her brother leaned back in his chair, swirling his glass, his smile sharp with confidence. His eyes flicked toward her children, not her, and he spoke with careless cruelty, as if stating an obvious fact. "Your mom is the family failure." The words sliced through the air. Her daughter froze, fork halfway to her mouth. Confusion crossed her small face first, then hurt. Her lips trembled. "Mama," she whispered, eyes filling with tears. The room went silent, not with shock, but with discomfort. No one spoke. No one corrected him. No one defended her. Her daughter began to cry. The young woman's heart shattered quietly. She stood at once, moved closer, and wrapped her arms around her child, pulling her gently into her chest. "It's okay," she murmured softly, stroking her hair. "I'm here. You're safe." Her voice did not shake, though her hands did. Inside her, memories collided, years of sacrifice rushing back all at once. Late nights spent balancing accounts when others slept. Dreams postponed, ambitions softened, opportunities handed away with a smile because family comes first. She remembered signing papers she was told not to worry about, trusting words spoken by blood. She remembered standing in the background while success was celebrated under someone else's name. She had swallowed insults before. She had endured whispers, jokes, and judgments. But this was different. This was spoken to her children, planted like poison in innocent hearts. And that, she realized with sudden clarity, was unforgivable. She looked up briefly. Her brother avoided her gaze, suddenly interested in his plate. Their parents stared at the tablecloth. Relatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Silence filled the room, heavy and cowardly. In that silence, she understood the truth she had avoided for years. They needed her to be the failure. Because if she wasn't, then everything they believed about themselves would collapse. She gathered her children and left the table early that night. No dramatic exit. No slammed door. Just a quiet departure, the kind no one stopped because they assumed she would always leave quietly. At home, after her children were asleep, she sat alone in the dim glow of her laptop. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark screen, tired eyes, steady face. Slowly, deliberately, she opened a folder she hadn't touched in years. Documents. Contracts. Records. Her lips pressed into a thin line, not of anger, but of resolve. They had called her a failure at the dinner table. They had no idea what Monday morning was about to bring. Long before anyone learned to call her a failure, she had been the dependable one, the quiet mind behind loud successes. As a young woman, she learned early that brilliance did not guarantee praise, especially when it wore a soft voice and patient eyes. While others chased recognition, she chased understanding. Numbers made sense to her. Patterns revealed themselves quickly. Problems felt like puzzles waiting to be solved. Her brother had always been the opposite. He thrived on attention, on bold declarations and confident smiles. When opportunities appeared, he stepped forward, and the family cheered. When risks appeared, she stepped in, quietly absorbing the burden so others could shine. No one asked her to do it. It was simply expected. When the family business began to grow, she was there from the beginning. She drafted early projections at the kitchen table while dinner cooked. She negotiated with suppliers over the phone, lowering costs, stabilizing cash flow. She learned contracts line by line, even when she was told, "You don't need to worry about that." She worried anyway. Responsibility had a way of finding her. But every success came with the same ending. Her brother stood at the front, taking credit, shaking hands, telling stories that slowly erased her presence. She told herself it didn't matter. Family mattered more. Recognition was shallow. Stability was real. Or so she believed. Then came marriage, children, and the final convenient label, settled. The family smiled sympathetically, as if her life had shrunk instead of expanded. They assumed motherhood replaced ambition. They were wrong. It sharpened it. Every decision she made now carried the weight of protecting her children's future. While they dismissed her, she learned. Quietly, relentlessly. She attended meetings no one thought were important. She asked careful questions. She saved copies of documents others ignored. When shares were distributed for convenience, she accepted them without comment. When assets were placed under names that were not hers, she made sure the legal trail still led back to her. She did not trust easily anymore, not after watching credit stolen so effortlessly. But she also did not seek revenge. Not yet. Survival came first. Growth came second. Justice would come when it was earned, not rushed. There were nights she lay awake questioning herself. Maybe they were right, she thought in moments of exhaustion. Maybe silence really did mean invisibility. But then she would open her spreadsheets, review investments, check balances that told a different story. Numbers did not lie. Ownership did not vanish just because someone laughed louder. After the dinner, the insults still echoing in her ears, she returned to those old habits. She reviewed records with fresh eyes, not from fear, but from clarity. This wasn't about pride anymore. This was about dignity. About showing her children that cruelty does not define truth. She realized something important in that quiet room: she had never needed their approval. She had needed her own recognition. And now she finally allowed herself to see it. She was not behind the curtain anymore. She was the curtain. The structure. The foundation holding everything together. And foundations, once they shift, change everything above them. As dawn crept through the window, she closed her laptop and exhaled slowly. The woman they underestimated had finished preparing long ago. They just hadn't noticed. Yet. Monday morning arrived without ceremony. No thunder. No warning. Just the soft buzz of her phone cutting through the quiet of the kitchen as she poured cereal for her children. She glanced at the screen and almost ignored it. Unknown number, early hour. Life had trained her not to expect urgency meant for her. She answered anyway. "Good morning," she said calmly. There was a pause on the other end, then a man cleared his throat. His voice was tight, careful. "This is Daniel. I'm a partner at Horizon Group. We need to speak with you. Urgently." Her hand stilled. Horizon Group. Her brother's pride. The company he bragged about at family dinners. The company he claimed he built alone. "What is this about?" she asked, her tone neutral. Another pause. "The majority shareholder has requested an emergency meeting. This morning." She felt the shift instantly, not excitement, not triumph, but a quiet alignment, like pieces sliding into place exactly as they were meant to. "I'll be there," she replied. The boardroom was glass and steel, designed to impress. Men in tailored suits filled the room, murmuring nervously. When she entered, conversation stopped. Some faces showed confusion. Others recognition. A few showed fear. She took a seat without asking permission. The meeting began with formalities, but tension crackled beneath every word. Documents were distributed. Numbers projected. Ownership charts displayed. Slowly, inevitably, the truth surfaced, layers of assumptions peeled away by black and white facts. The room shifted when they realized the implications. She wasn't just a silent investor. She was the majority. The door opened late. Her brother walked in, confident smile already in place, until he saw her. His steps slowed. His expression faltered. "What's going on?" he demanded, eyes darting between the faces in the room. No one answered him immediately. Finally, the partner who had called her spoke. "We've discovered discrepancies in authority and representation. Certain decisions were made without the consent of the majority shareholder." Her brother laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. "That's ridiculous. I am the company." She met his eyes for the first time in years, not with anger, not with satisfaction, but with steady clarity. "No," she said quietly. "You represent it. I own it." Silence slammed into the room. Papers slid across the table toward him. Signatures he recognized. Dates he remembered. Agreements he never bothered to read fully. His confidence collapsed piece by piece as he scanned the evidence. This must be a mistake," he muttered. "There's no mistake," she replied. "Only assumptions." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't accuse. She let the facts speak, because facts had waited patiently for this moment. Every decision he had dismissed her from. Every meeting he thought she didn't belong in. Every time he called her irrelevant. All of it led here. The board voted quickly after that. Authority was restructured. Oversight reinstated. Her brother was removed from executive control pending review. The room exhaled, relief mixed with awe. As people filed out, some avoided her gaze. Others nodded respectfully. One whispered, "We had no idea." She gathered her things, unshaken. At the door, her brother spoke, his voice low and brittle. "You planned this." She paused, then turned. "No," she said gently. "I prepared for it." Outside, sunlight reflected off the glass building. She stood there for a moment, breathing it in. This wasn't revenge born of cruelty. It was truth finally stepping into the light. And there was still one chapter left to write. The aftermath did not explode the way people expected. There were no headlines, no public scandals, no shouting matches across polished desks. Power did not announce itself, it simply changed hands. The company continued operating, but the atmosphere shifted, as if everyone suddenly realized they had been standing on ground they never truly owned. Her brother did not call her. Not that day. Not the next. His silence was louder than any insult he had ever thrown. She understood it well. Silence was where pride went to hide when it had nowhere else to stand. The family found out quickly, of course. They always did. Messages began arriving in fragments, confused questions, awkward congratulations, thinly veiled apologies. The same people who had watched her daughter cry without speaking now wanted explanations, reassurance, forgiveness. She read the messages without responding. Not because she was cruel, but because she had learned that explanations were only demanded from those who were never believed in the first place. That evening, she sat with her children on the living room floor, helping with homework, laughing softly at a spelling mistake. Life looked exactly the same as it had before, same home, same routines, but something fundamental had changed. The air felt lighter. Safer. Her daughter hesitated, then asked the question she had been carrying since that dinner. "Mama. Uncle said you were a failure. Is that true?" The word no longer hurt. It no longer echoed. It simply dissolved. She took her daughter's hands gently. "No, my love," she said, meeting her eyes. "I was never a failure. I was just quiet." Her daughter nodded slowly, as if filing that truth away where it could grow strong. Children understood more than adults gave them credit for. Later that week, she made her final decision. She did not remove her brother entirely. She could have. The law allowed it. The shares were hers. The control was hers. But revenge did not mean destruction. It meant balance. She reduced his authority. Set boundaries. Required accountability. For the first time in his life, he would have to answer to consequences rather than applause. When they finally spoke, it was brief. "You embarrassed me," he said, unable to meet her eyes. "You embarrassed yourself," she replied calmly. "I just stopped protecting you." There were no more words after that. None were needed. She declined the executive spotlight, appointing professionals to manage what she had already secured. Power, she knew now, did not require visibility. It required stability. And she had mastered that long ago. Weeks passed. The family gatherings changed. Voices softened around her. Jokes stopped at her expense. Respect arrived quietly, wearing the same face that once ignored her. But the greatest victory had nothing to do with them. It was the way she slept at night without doubt. The way her children looked at her with pride instead of confusion. The way she finally allowed herself to take up space, not loudly, not aggressively, but fully. She stood one morning by the window, sunlight spilling across the room, and smiled to herself. They had called her a failure. They never understood that the most dangerous woman in the room is the one everyone forgets to watch, the one who listens, learns, and waits. And when she finally stands, the world shifts around her.